Afternoon, everybody. Matt Silver with Trucker Tools here today with Brian Phillips of Driven Trucking. Start things off, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do.
Well, name's Brian Phillips, and like you said, Driven Trucking is one of my YouTube channels. I've been a truck driver since, like 2012 now, so it seems like a long time. I've been an owner-operator for a little over 3 years of that, and I've worked for a few different companies. I've worked for Mercer Transportation. I've worked on the spot market, and now I'm currently working for Landstar. So the majority of my owner-operator side has been, the open deck side of things. But strangely enough, this is today I'm actually hooked to a van. So you kind of heard it first here. Nobody else knows that yet, but they're going to be finding out soon.
Nice. Well, in the spirit of sharing little tidbits of knowledge here, I actually got my start in the broker world, 11, 12 years ago, actually booking nothing but flatbed and open deck freight, and then moving into heavy haul before taking on some van teams. So we got a little bit together there. I'm sure at one point or another we might have done a load together, but who knows at this point. 2020 being as crazy of a year as it was, with all the nuance of things we could talk about. But for our industry, obviously rates stand out as one of those things we watched just, spike and come back down. And, it was a driver's market, and then it was a shipper's market, and brokers got involved and started pulling levers all over the place as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. Can you share what the market's been like for you lately?
Yeah, 2020 was just, wow, it was insane. I mean, I don't have a ton of experience, but I'm kind of a student of the game. And, and I've looked back in previous times and just really didn't see anything quite comparable. Me personally, I got very lucky, right as the pandemic was kind of getting into full swing is whenever I made the transition over to Landstar. And over here, they have a lot of dedicated freight. So for me, I didn't kind of feel the full blunt force of 2020. And very thankfully, certainly was, a decrease in freight volume, for the open deck side of things. But as far as rates were concerned, I was fairly well locked in. So, it went nicely for me. Here lately, I've been watching, the dry vans and the reefer guys make all the money. I mean, just literally all the money. And I'm kind of wondering why I'm out here, securing and tarping and working my tail off for way less money than those guys are making. So that's actually why I just made the switch to dry van. Hopefully I didn't miss the boat, but I'm going to give it a swing. It's been good. I think, 2021, I do think that, a little bit of a decrease from December, but, overall, I think that the numbers are up, even from, the year prior. So I believe 2021 is going to be, I do think it's going to be an increase. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of 2020, but how big of an increase it's going to be from 2020, I mean, I don't know, the magic 8 ball says outlook looks good. So we'll see, we'll see what we come up with.
If that magic 8 ball tells you anything of where to invest, be sure to let all of us know, because we're chasing something.
Yeah, no kidding. That's way above my pay grade. So I don't know.
So what are some of the things that you think about operating your truck, and what's that thought process like when you choose loads? What stands out to you?
Well, for me, I've always, kind of looked at things differently than a lot of people do. I don't know why, but most people kind of look at rate per mile. I don't really do that. I try to look for a set amount of revenue per day. And for me, it's, that kind of that magic mark. And I think that a lot of guys that think similarly try to hit about $1,000 a day. And obviously the more the better, but kind of that once you start dipping below that, that's when you start needing to take into consideration, well, okay, where am I running? So what's the fuel prices in this area? So, that's when other things start to come in play if you can't reach that $1,000 a day number. But for me, that's pretty much the majority of what I do. And reaching back whenever I was pulling a flatbed, I tried to stay east of 35. It was all the good paying freights east of 35, and there's not a ton of it up in the Northeast, but I don't go that way, so I don't know. I'll leave that to those Northeasterners up there. But step deck's a little bit different. You can kind of get away with heading out west, which is what I like to do. But you just have to keep an eye on the markets. I try to keep up with what the markets are doing, because Chicago can be booming one week, and then it's not as booming the next week, because it's pretty much always doing well. But like, for instance, a good market like the Southern California market, it can be really, really hot, or it can be really, really cold, and you don't want to go over there when it's super cold. So kind of knowing what's hot and what's cold in the markets out there is really, you're always thinking ahead. What is the current load that you're on, that you're looking for, is certainly important, but probably the most important load is the next load. And if you can kind of think in terms of more like chess rather than checkers, if you can think ahead a move or two, then you're going to wind up making more money and being more profitable, and staying on top of these markets that are good. So actually, I have a question for you. You guys are going to be sharing kind of the rates and market data, and for all of us drivers out here, which I'm looking forward to. Well, can you share a little bit of that with me and with everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. And appreciate you bringing that to light. So much like everything in our driver app today that's on iOS and Android, everything we're bringing for market data is going to be dead free, following our same philosophy we've always had. So if you're a driver, you want access to any of our tools, all you got to do, download the app, and it's right there for you. The barrier to entry is very minimal. In terms of some of the data that we're acquiring, so we've got a lot of information coming in from a lot of sources, and also a lot of historical data too. You can imagine, with 1.1 million drivers on the platform and hundreds of brokers behind the scenes, where they're feeding us the loads that we're then handing out to drivers and tracking. We're looking at an immense amount of information on a daily basis, and that's actually key. It's daily data, as opposed to that 30-day historical data, or what happened in this market a year ago. If we went through just natural disasters year by year for the past 5 years, you're going to watch different markets get affected for different months.
Sure.
So we partnered with a couple companies, most notably specific to this product is going to be Sonar. So FreightWave's product, they've done a great job putting it together. All of that's going to be right inside the app, and you'll actually be able to see it. You talked about, your current load is important, but your next load is more important. That's a concept we've actually been working heavily on right inside the app as well. So when you're looking at a load, you'll have that Sonar data right in there to show you the market you're leaving, the market you're going into. But also, before you even take that load in our app, you can look at the destination you're heading to and look for reloads there alongside that market data. So you're not going to be caught by surprise if you hit Southern California in a downturn of the market. All of that's right there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 days a week. Our team is going to be publishing blog information, giving a lot more insight into the markets. Just, not just green, yellow, red, right? That might mean if it's good for everybody, there's nuance here and there that might affect drivers differently. If you're pulling a 3-axle instead of a 2-axle trailer, things like that, you're going to be affected not by the generalities of the marketplace. So getting into those blogs, there's going to be a lot more information there. We break everything down by type of freight, and then also type of equipment. So there's a lot of information coming out there, but we're trying to split it into very digestible pieces. That way it's not just an overwhelming amount of information from multiple sources that you have to pick through to find the nuggets that matter to you. We want to make it very easy and very quick. That way you can kind of learn from the data, see how it might impact you, make decisions that make you more profitable, to be very frank. That's what we're all in it for. And get the wheels turning. Everybody knows if you're not turning the wheels, nobody's making money. That's kind of universal to all of us right now. So it's important that we keep drivers going. We really crush and condense the amount of time of finding the next load, and on the broker side, we are out there to help them as well, but we don't want them posting loads all over the place and spending hours calling 100 drivers to try to find the guy who will do it for $50 less, right? We want to just show them this is a good driver. It's trackable on our platform. They're going to upload the POD even right for you, and you're good to go right there. It's nice and easy. Nice. And with all of this, hopefully we're helping the drivers stay ahead of some of those changes, as produce sweeps across the U.S. or different markets come and go with imports and exports. And, you can see how, I think especially we've all kind of felt it in the past few years, how, some policy changes are going to impact imports and exports, or, just a couple of years ago with the Panama Canal widening, how that shifted a lot of freight out of California and kind of around the Gulf for imports there. So, as we learn things and we monitor all these different sources of data, we're going to keep pushing them down to drivers and keep that education flowing. It's not just for us to know. That does nobody any good there.
Right on. Sounds good. I like that.
So I want to throw it back on you. You share a lot of great information with new drivers, drivers that are kind of becoming owner operators, maybe coming off of a lease program. As a closing thought, what business advice can you give to the drivers for 2021?
Number one, I would say figure out your numbers. It's actually shocking how many guys out here, owner ops, what have you, that don't know their numbers. If you don't know your number, you don't know where you're profitable at. You don't know how much you're making. And although, you would think that that's very, very, that's common knowledge, or that just common sense. But surprisingly, that's something that I kind of have to harp on because most people don't know their numbers. So definitely know your numbers, figure those out, and that gives you a nice basis as far as how much you're making. And then number two is give yourself a financial education. If you have a financial education, then you're going to be able to run this business properly. We're truck drivers, and we're steering wheel holders. That's what we do. But when you step into the owner operator side of things, you are now a business owner. And so, there are a lot of skills that you need to know, that you need to learn, that you don't get holding the wheel every single day. So I like to say, start with giving yourself, even if it's just minimal. I mean, there's free stuff all over YouTube. Give yourself a financial education, how to run a business properly, how to have what's a good P&L look like, all of these different things. If you just give yourself the basic knowledge, and you're going to come out so much further ahead than than the next guy who doesn't even know his numbers. So those are the financial education I'm really big on. That's where I start my videos when I'm talking about owner operators. Like, this is I try to pound it every single time. I always talk about that, because it's hands down the most important thing. This is a financial game. We're not we're moving freight, but on the when you're an owner operator, this is a money game. It's not really a freight moving game. It's money game. So that's the most important thing, I think.
I think that's really good advice. And, I can speak on behalf of quite a few people that have watched you on YouTube. The advice is good. The advice is free. Just spend your downtime educating yourself, whether it's specific to our industry or just how to generally run a business and kind of keep your eye on the prize, right? We want everybody to be fruitful here. There's plenty of freight to go around. So appreciate you sharing that. Appreciate you sharing your time with us today. Before I let you go, where can people find you on social media? What's the best source?
All right. Well, thanks for the kind words. I've got the main channel, which is the teaching channel, is Driven Trucking. That's on YouTube. I did just start up a blog channel, which it's been going pretty well. That's my name, Brian Phillips. You can find that on YouTube as well. And then I'm on Instagram. I'm not super active over there, but I am over there, and that's at Driven Trucking. So those are the main spots where you can find me.
Outstanding. Well, Brian, thanks again. We always appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Take care.